Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. We've got some warmer weather coming this weekend. This is the Southern California first time buyer housing market update for February 25th, 2022. My name is Stephen Meade with Domicile Real Estate, where we are on a mission to help California's renters become homeowners. And before we jump into our weekly stats, I want to just answer a little bit of a question that I've received probably in the last 3 days. 10 or 12 times now, and that is, how is the situation in Ukraine affecting Southern California real estate? And I'll be honest, at this exact moment right now, I don't think it's affecting it very much. There's absolutely the potential for the real estate market to bear some effects. And I'll tell you a little bit kind of the short term, the medium term, and the long term before we start. So the short term effect really is what happens to interest rates. Some of you are already aware of this, but actually bad news tends to be good for interest rates. Interest rates tend to drop upon bad news or uncertainty or fear. So this is why you see a sell-off in things like stocks and the bond market rally. So people put their money into safer, more sure things like US Treasury bonds, gold, etc., whereas they tend to drop their money from things that are less secure, like cryptocurrencies, stocks and bonds. That's in general, right? So the short-term effect is, yeah, if there is a bit of a push, that could cause it is possible for rates to rise, but if anything, this is actually having a stopping effect on the rising rates that we've been seeing. So it's kind of put a pause on that. So that's actually, if you're a buyer, that's probably a positive thing, but it also means you might see more buyers heading into the marketplace. Maybe people who were on the sidelines before. In the medium term, I think one of the things that's being talked about quite a bit is this idea of inflation, right? And that is, if we see large scale inflation, mainly fueled by supply chain issues from things coming from both the Russian Federation, Ukraine, there's a lot of natural resources, a lot of things come from there, oil being the big thing that a lot of people are talking about. If that fuels kind of some hyperinflation in a couple of categories, that could actually cause rates to go up in sort of that medium term factor. I don't know whether we're going to see that. Obviously, nobody knows really how long the Ukraine situation is going to last, and if there's going to be any diplomatic solution. I think that sort of remains to be seen, the longevity of this scenario. And even if it's only one category of good that goes up, like oil, your whole market doesn't inflate 10%. Your CPI doesn't go to 10% because of one good. So just understand that that might have an upward pressure on interest rates, but that's more of a medium term thing. And then finally, the long term is this going to push the world economy into a recession, right? That might be something that's a little bit more of a longer term thing. Whether you like it or not, imposing sanctions will have a cooling effect economically globally. I mean, generally trade is a good thing whenever you can do it, whenever it's feasible. So, is this gonna force the world economy into a downturn? And what is that going to do to real estate? So that's something a little bit more of a longer term, think 3 to 6 months plus kind of a reaction. So, the short answer is we really don't know. But I will tell you, at present, we're not really seeing a big market reaction as a result of the situation in Ukraine, at least not in our local market. So moving on, let's jump into those stats. Why is it sometimes even when things are better, they're still not good? We're going to talk about that here real quick. So this is a price chart for our entry-level home. Now, I want you to just notice here and look at these recent jumps. And what this is we are seeing the market that we are in. Remember, this data is 4 to 6 weeks old. This is closed prices, which means these are home sales that were negotiated in the beginning to middle to end of January. And so we're finally starting to really see the present market being reflected in these prices. And guess what? Prices are going up. I don't think we need to really tell anybody that. Now we have our total monthly payment, which also has been going up, but it's eased a little bit only because the interest rates have calmed down a little bit. As you can see, we need to extend our graph here. We are actually above that $4,800 or $4,500 mark. So we're kind of going off the graph. We're at $3,700 here for our entry level condo. These are obviously increases, but there's a little bit of stability in this, right? You see that these are easing back a little bit, and I am happy to see that. Now, as far as our minimum household income, we have crested $90,000 for our entry-level single-family condo, and we are over $110,000 for our entry-level single-family home. Obviously, this is not great news if you're a buyer out there, but one of the things I always tell people to do, and I'm going to go off screen share here for a second. I think driving your real estate choices by looking in the rearview mirror is really not a good plan. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. When I talk about buyers, a lot of times buyers will talk about the houses they missed out on, how they wish they would have bought last year, right? Like there's a string of these things, and these are all things in the past. And this might seem like common sense, but sometimes you just need to hear it from a third-party source. Don't do that. The only thing you can do is make choices based on today going forward. You can't make choices based on the past. So talk about how you should have bought a house in 2015. Yeah, I wish I would have bought 10 houses in 2015, right? But you have to trust that you make the best decisions you can with the information you have available at the time. So instead of focusing on that past, look to make the best real estate decisions you can make today going forward. So we're going to jump back in here. If you look at our absorption rate, like this is a place where we have some news that honestly is a little bit better, maybe than we would have expected. Entry-level condo market, red hot at 89%, but that's actually a little bit of an improvement. Our entry-level single-family home market, at least all the way across LA and Orange counties, went down to 82%. That's still a very strong seller's market, but it's not necessarily crazy. And I think what we might be seeing is, this is, as I said, still very firmly a seller's market, but maybe not necessarily for all listings. Maybe there are some of those listings that are sitting a little bit longer than we normally see them. So if you're the kind of person who's looking for those opportunities, you might start to see them in this market, whereas the hot areas and hot homes might be just as hot as ever. I think what we're seeing is as the sort of affordability goes down a little bit, that's what's easing the market slightly. I don't think this is a big change. It's still, again, very much a seller's market, but hey, take a look. Maybe right now there are some deals to be had if you're looking in the right places. If you look at our total inventory, right, we've seen that inventory come back up a little bit for our entry-level single-family homes. It's still below where we were last year, and it's kind of flattened out here. And then you look at our condo inventory, and I've said this a couple of weeks in a row, but I mean, this is really the headline story. Look at where this condo market was last year, and then look at where it is today. I think what we're seeing is a shifting of buyers. So I don't think we've seen a drop in the number of buyers in the marketplace. I think what's happened is some of those buyers who were looking at single-family homes on the entry level, they are now shifted and looking at those condos and townhomes, and we're seeing that reflected in these inventory numbers. Now, if you look here at our 14-day still active percentage, this does a good job of looking at the exact homes that are coming on the market. These stats are a little bit better for entry-level single-family homes than they were at this point last year, which is good news, but these numbers aren't great, right? This still says that homes, as they come in the market, are being gobbled up. It's a little bit better than it was last year, but it's not a huge amount better. Again, the condo market is the big story. Look at where we were last year, look at where we are today. The condos are being gobbled up at a bigger rate, hardly surprising. But just understand that things have improved a little bit. I still wouldn't call it a great market for buyers, but it's a little bit easier. And then finally, we have our week supply of homes. That has actually gone up slightly for our entry-level single-family buyers. Again, we're just right at about 3 weeks of inventory here for both condos and entry-level single-family homes. Obviously, this is not a lot of inventory. It's not that much better than last year, but it's a little bit better. Again, big story looking at the difference between where condos were this year, 3.12 weeks, where they were at this point last year, nearly 5 weeks of inventory. So that condo market really has compressed as we've seen kind of the slack taken up by buyers who've said, hey, Why am I competing against 10 people in every house when I'm buying a house when I could walk in and buy a condo? Well, the condo market has gotten competitive now too. So maybe now it's 5 offers on each. I know it's a little bit of a weird week. We've kind of run through this pretty quickly. Again, my favorite piece of advice that I like to tell people, it is not an easy time to buy a house, but it is a great time to buy a house. You do need to treat this like it is a second job. You really have to kind of go in and give this your thoughtfulness and attention and deliberate decision making, which is something that we help you with. If you or someone you know should be buying a home, absolutely, we would love to help you. If you're in the Southern California market area, definitely reach out to us. There's a link below for a 15-minute, no cost, no obligation consultation. We love doing those. They're a lot of fun. You'll learn a lot, we promise. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Otherwise, have a great weekend, everybody. Questions, comments, as always, we love those too. And we will see you again real soon.